Number 10. Attack of the Rescue Dog. Aleksandra Prakowska was once a model for L'Oreal. The Polish national also worked as an actress when she couldn't find work. You might say she had the perfect face for TV. Unfortunately for her, that perfect face was ruined after she nearly lost her left eyeball after rescuing a seemingly innocent dog. In fact, she was blamed by the shelter for the attack, with them saying that she brought it upon herself by being a lazy dog owner. The incident went down in Warsaw when Aleksandra was rushed to the hospital with injuries to her face. Her new dog, named Logan, apparently went absolutely berserk after several months of living with her. According to the local reports, Logan had a troubled past and suffered from cancer. He was also known for occasionally being aggressive and has once even attacked Aleksandra's neighbor's daughter. Oh yeah, and the dog also bit the previous owner's neighbor's wife. Basically, the dog was a loose cannon. But Aleksandra was dedicated to her pet. Well, she was dedicated to it right up until the moment when Logan mutilated her so badly that her left eye nearly fell out. She's now probably never going to model again. Her face has been horribly scarred, and she has since taken Logan back to the shelter. She blames them for misinformation, giving away the dog to an unwitting owner when it was clearly dangerous. Number 9. Bite of the Serpent. A man from Limburg in the Netherlands was recently recovering in the hospital after spending 10 long days in a medically induced coma. The reason doctors put him in a coma is because he had gotten bit by a cobra that he was keeping in his cellar for fun. Maybe karma was teaching him a lesson? The man has not been named for privacy reasons. He's probably embarrassed, but according to the Brussels Times, he had several different exotic snakes kept inside his house. However, the cobra was definitely the most dangerous. The man knew it was dangerous too, because he had isolated it from the other snakes in his cellar. Amazingly, the pet owner tried to defend his snake and keep it away from wildlife officials. He told the authorities that he had been bitten by a random snake and that he didn't know where it had come from. Then it came out, months after the incident, that it was actually his pet. Authorities have since gone to his house to pick up all the exotic snakes he was keeping illegally, including the cobra and a pair of rattlesnakes from Texas. According to the wildlife workers, they weren't even kept in good cages. They were in plexiglass containers with sliding doors that the snakes were able to open by themselves. And after being busted, the man admitted that one of his rattlesnakes had bitten him before as well. He had already lost his finger to one of his exotic snakes, but he just couldn't give them up. He has since made a full recovery from the cobra attack. But with people like this, he's probably just going to find another cobra somewhere and put that one in his cellar. Number 8. Hungry lions. At the Lincoln Park Zoo in Chicago, a zookeeper forgot that she had let the lions out. This is one thing you definitely don't want to ever forget while working at a zoo. When she walked into their yard to fill up their giant water dish, she forgot that they were prowling around the enclosure. Within just seconds of walking into the outdoor lion exhibit, the animal spotted her. At 60 years old, Nancy DeFiesta wasn't in the best shape for running away. The lions jumped, and she was helpless. To be quite honest, she is lucky that she survived at all. According to the Chicago Tribune, she suffered 64 puncture wounds to her head and body before zoo employees managed to get her out. The incident was investigated by the U.S. Occupational Safety and Health Administration. The investigation found that during the first 2 hours of the morning, zoo workers can sometimes make errors. This is the time of day when animals need to be fed and exhibits need to be cleaned. In this case, a single mistake of forgetting that the lions were already in the enclosure caused Nancy to almost be killed. She has since recovered, though she will bear the scars of her encounter for the rest of her life. She declined to give any comments to the media, and we don't know if she'll ever go back to working with the huge cats. Number 7. The Deadliest Lizards. Ronald Huff died in 2002. The story of Ronald and his lizards is one of the most terrifying examples of what can happen when pets go wrong. The police were mortified when they walked through Ronald's front door to discover he had been eaten alive by his collection of Nile monitor lizards. In fact, when the police showed up, the 7 reptiles were in the process of feasting on his corpse. At 42 years old, Ronald became dinner for his very own flesh-eating friends. For those who didn't know, monitor lizards are basically a mix between a crocodile, a dinosaur, and a Komodo dragon. These venomous creatures typically live in Africa, but have been popular household pets in the past few decades. According to what the former Newcastle County Sheriff told Animal Planet, when they knocked on Ronald's door, they could hear shuffling from inside. They knew someone was in there, but nobody would answer. They broke down the door, and there was Ronald. One of the lizards looked up, licked its bloody lips, and then kept eating. But this case was never technically solved. Nobody knows if it was the 7 lizards that ganged up and killed Ronald, or if he died from natural causes and then was simply devoured. Since he had allowed his pet lizards to roam freely around the house, it was impossible to say just what exactly happened. Number 6. Emotional alligator. A man named Joey Henry from Pennsylvania has a rather unusual emotional support animal. Most people have dogs for emotional support pets, while the occasional lonely person may have a cat or a rabbit, but not Joey, who recently registered his 4-year-old alligator to be his emotional support friend. The alligator's name is Wally. He's about 5 feet long, he weighs around 60 pounds, and he goes everywhere that Joey goes. This includes shopping at Walmart and watching baseball games. I'm happy to say that as of right now, Wally has not actually turned on Joey, but keep in mind that it's probably going to happen at just about any time. Everyone knows alligators are wild animals and not to be trusted. Alligators are more unpredictable than big cats, bears, or any other bizarre animal that someone keeps in their home. And speaking of keeping animals in their home, Joey keeps Wally inside a plastic indoor pond. And if you're wondering where you even get an emotional support alligator, Joey simply took Wally from outside when he found him wandering around at 14 months old. Wally actually became the very first alligator in America to earn the title of emotional support animal, and he's apparently helping Joey to deal with his depression. What do you think? Is it just a matter of time before Wally snaps on his owner and bites one of his legs off? Or do you think having a literal alligator living in his house is perfectly sane and not dangerous at all? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe button. Number 5. Bad News Bear. Kellyanne Waltz has a captive black bear that she keeps with her husband. This beastly bear was 350 pounds, living at Kelly's home. She and her husband kept it in a cage, but it was still thought as a member of the family. Kelly's husband happened to be an exotic pet dealer operating in Pennsylvania with an expired license. They were absolutely not supposed to have exotic animals on their property, but this didn't stop them from having a lion, a jaguar, a tiger, 2 servals, a leopard, and the black bear. Since they were living in the Poconos Mountains, nobody really cared what they were doing, at least not until Kelly tried to clean the black bear's cage and ended up being mauled to death. When you hear the details of how Kelly was cleaning the cage, it will come as no surprise that she was killed. She opened the door to the cage, threw a shovelful of dog food to one side of it, then used the small window of opportunity to clean the opposite side while the bear ate the dog food. This time, the bear was not so easily distracted. When Kelly turned her back, the bear abandoned the dog food and charged. She screamed in horror, but that only made the bear angrier. By the time a neighbor showed up with a gun and shot the wild animal to death, Kelly was already dead. Number 4. Killed by Big Bird. In Florida, a man was keeping a cassowary on his property. For those who don't know what a cassowary is, it's basically like a mixture between a flamingo and a dinosaur. It is a huge, flightless bird, native only to Australia and Papua New Guinea. These ridiculously massive birds can grow to be around 6 feet tall and 130 pounds. Their bodies are covered in huge black feathers. They have bright blue heads, and they have claws so big and so sharp they can easily eviscerate a human being. And that's exactly what happened in Gainesville when the victim was killed by his pet cassowary. According to the deputy chief on the case, Jeff Taylor, the victim was hanging out with the bird when he fell over. Nobody knows how he fell, if it was his own fault, or if the bird somehow tricked him. But when he hit the ground, the bird saw its opportunity and attacked. It used its huge claws to mangle the poor man, literally tearing him to shreds. The San Diego Zoo says that cassowaries are the most dangerous birds in the world, able to run 31 miles an hour and able to slice open even the most dangerous predators with just one kick. Number 3. The Farmer's Pigs. Mr. Shustov was in his 70s when he went missing. It was New Year's Eve and his family was very worried. They beseeched the local authorities for help, but it wouldn't be until January 8th, over a week after the victim went missing, that police discovered what happened to him. To get a better idea of how things went very wrong for Mr. Shustov, keep in mind that he was a pig farmer. He lived in a small Polish village where he took care of 2 adult pigs and 12 piglets. These animals were free range, allowed to roam around in the yard, and even around the farmer's house by themselves. His neighbors told the police that the pigs were gigantic and that they ran wild across his property. Sadly for the pig farmer, he happened to be outside on New Year's Eve when he suffered a sudden heart attack. He fell down, probably died in the muck, and his corpse was there for his pigs to eat. His loyal, friendly pigs suddenly weren't so loyal anymore. On January 8th, the police found the victim mostly eaten by his pigs, with only a few scraps of him left, including some pieces of skull and bone. Other than that, the pigs had eaten every last part of him. Number 2. Attack of the Pit Bull. In New Jersey, a couple were left with horrible injuries after being attacked inside their very own home by the family pit bull. According to officers with the South Brunswick Police, emergency medical workers were called to the property in the middle of the afternoon, at which point they discovered a man and woman, both in their 60s, with serious lacerations on their limbs. The victims informed the police that the pit bull randomly attacked the man while he was minding his own business in his bedroom. The woman ran into the room to see what was happening, and that was when the dog turned on her. Luckily, there happened to be another resident in the house, a guy in his 30s. The younger man was able to wrestle the dog off the elderly people. If it hadn't been for him, the dog very well may have ripped them both to pieces. Unfortunately, we can never predict an animal's behavior. Something must have made the dog snap. The dog was handed over to South Brunswick Animal Control, but they have not given any additional info on why the attack happened. We don't know if the dog had been feral or if its owners were simply negligent. According to the National Pit Bull Victim Awareness Organization, sadly, there is a human death by pit bull every 13 days. And number 1, the reptile keeper. The zookeeper who almost died after being attacked by her very own pet reptile has defended the beast by saying he was just having a bad day. The animal handler just about lost her hand after the alligator chomped down on her arm during a children's party. Lindsay Bull was feeding Darth Gator, her beloved 11-year-old monster, in front of a group of children when it grabbed her by the wrist and then dragged her backwards into his tank. It likely would have eaten her if not for one of the guests at the children's party jumping into the water and prying its jaws open. But even after this terrifying brush with death, and in front of an audience of horrified children no less, Lindsay is defending her alligator with everything she has. She recently told Desert News, after being released from the hospital, that she is going to keep him and he is going to have no consequences for what happened. She says he was just doing what animals do, and while that might be right, she was left with a damaged tendon and multiple fractures. Do you ever fear that your pet might turn on you? Let us know about it in the comments, and thanks for watching. Be sure to hit subscribe for more of the best videos from the channel. See you next time.